So I have finally started revisions. Woo! It's definitely been a lot longer since I finished my draft. I took a lot longer of a break than I was planning on, which I have addressed a couple of times on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and basically everywhere. Basically, it's been a month and a half, I believe, since I finished my draft. I intended to take at least 2 to 3 weeks off, but I was kind of hoping for a month, but a month and a half is definitely longer than I was planning. So I finally now started revisions today. I'm vlogging this just shortly after I finished my first, I guess, revision session is what I'm gonna call it, I think. I read through the beginning of my book and I was so nervous, so completely nervous. I guess just the fact that I haven't worked on this for so long. It's been so long since I wrote this and since the last time I read it through and sort of edited it, because the first couple of chapters I have read through and edited before, just a couple of times when I was in the middle of my draft. Right now the plan is just to read it all the way through, to fix stuff that I notice that can be fixed immediately, and to take notes on anything that I might need to really rework. So far so good. My first revision session, I read about 4,100 words, I believe, which obviously is way more than a typical writing session, but that makes sense because I'm not really doing that much. And even the edits that I made were fairly small, and mostly I think I'm just absorbing everything. And honestly, I think the first chapter or two, or I'm in the middle of the second chapter now where I stopped, it's good. Like, the writing is pretty good, and that's because I have edited it before. So I'm sure it's gonna get slower and slower as I get into the draft and as I get into stuff that I've only ever probably touched once and I've never gone back to. It's gonna get a bit rougher, it's gonna get a bit more difficult, and especially once I get into the plot, there's gonna be a lot more things that are complicated that I might need to resolve. And at the beginning, I thought really hard about this, and I have edited it before a little bit. So yeah, it was definitely an easy start in terms of what I'm probably in for down the road, but it was a really good start and I'm feeling really good about it. I'm not really sure the next time I'll get to do a revision session. I'm hoping maybe tomorrow I can do a little one. Today is Saturday, FYI, because this is probably not gonna go up on the same day that I'm recording this, the same day of the week. So I'm hoping tomorrow I'll have a little bit of time to work it in, and then maybe next week, we'll see. I will be traveling a little bit for work, so it might be a little bit hectic, but I have hope. I think the hardest thing was just the hurdle to start. I was having a really tough time just getting myself to start and to get to my draft, and I think it's because I was nervous. I'm just nervous that it's not gonna be up to par and that there's gonna be a lot of stuff that I need to fix. But first of all, that's not really a great attitude to have. Like, I should be positive about what I've written. Second of all, I put a lot of work into this, so I know it's not gonna be complete crap. Like, there's gonna be stuff I need to fix, but I know I have a solid draft. I felt pretty good about it when I finished it, so I don't know why I'm so worried. And third of all, even if it is complete crap, which it's not, but even if it's terrible or there's lots of stuff that I need to rework and there's lots of work ahead, there's only one way I'm gonna find out, and that's to actually get into it and revise it. And there's only one way I'm gonna make it better. Same answer. I have to get into it and I have to revise it. So I'm feeling pretty good about the future revision sessions. So here's hoping that they continue to be as smooth and as positive as this one. Good afternoon. It is so nice and sunny today in Paris. That is so weird. Anyway, I'm about to start another writing session, and sadly, I started this vlog so happy, but now I'm just gonna get a little bit more gloomy because it's been a very long time since my last revision session. I started it with the idea that I would be able to immediately plunge myself into revisions, but that was not at all the case. I had a lot of things come up for work and I just became very overwhelmed. So it just ended up getting pushed off day after day after day. So it's been, I think, 2 weeks now since I did my first revision session, which I'm very ashamed to say, but this is all about honesty and that's just how it happened. 2 weeks later, here we are. But now I'm about to do a revision session finally, and I'm hoping, I know I said this last time, but I guess you'll see in the next clip if this worked or not, if I was actually being honest with myself, but I really do think that I'm gonna be able to start my revisions a little bit more regularly now. So I've just filmed a video, thus the video makeup that I have going on here, and the beautiful lighting. This is actually quite nice. I hope when I look at this footage later, it actually looks as nice as it does in my little viewfinder. Anyway, I'm gonna start my writing session now. My revision session, so sorry, I can't say writing session, and I'm gonna get back into it, and I'm aiming to finish up the chapter where I left off and hopefully to get through another one, or at least until a breaking point in the next one. I'm not going to do a really big session just because I don't want to do too much after this big break. I want to sort of get, you know, baby steps, getting back into it. And also I have friends coming over this evening and stuff, and I have to go out and get apéro stuff, some stuff for the aperitif that we're gonna have. So I do have a lot of other things to do, but I'm gonna squeeze in like half an hour of revisions at least. So I'm very excited that I'm getting back into it. I'm gonna stop rambling now, and you will see in the next clip just how successful I have been. Hey guys, we meet again on the couch in front of the bookshelf, where I always am, apparently. If you just go by these vlogs, then you just think I never left this couch ever. I guess I should probably do a little recap of where I left off from my last session. I wasn't quite as successful as what I was hoping in terms of 2 revision sessions a week, I think is what I had said. That didn't quite happen some weeks, but life just keeps getting in the way. But I have had some really good revision sessions, and I've actually made up for it in terms of how much I've done on the few, like during the few revision sessions. I can't talk. During the few sessions that I have done, I've done pretty well in terms of word count and everything. So I'm feeling really good about it. And I'm really liking my story. I actually was just talking about this with my husband the other day, and I told him I'm actually a little bit scared how much I'm liking it, because I'm like, I was already invested, but now even more than ever, I really want this to be so good, and it just keeps piling on the pressure. But it's a good thing, it's a really good thing, and it's a wonderful feeling, and revisions are going really, really well. I'm fixing some stuff, I'm shifting stuff around. I'm also making a few little notes of things that I might want to mess with later, like on a second revision possibly, or maybe things that I can do like later in this revision. I'm not quite sure how to do it or where it will fit in or anything like that, so I'm just sort of making some notes as well for future edits. So this is by no means gonna be like the only revision that I do, or like a simple chronological revision. It's gonna be a little bit of everything. One thing that I've noticed I've sort of left out for my main character is some historical background, I guess, for her. Not historical as in like before her generation. I mean just her actual past, and some of her sort of friends and relationships and stuff like that in her past. And I really do need to make that a little bit more prominent, because it's a theme that isn't as important as some of the others, which is why I kind of ignored it. Not ignored it, but I forgot about it in the first draft in a lot of places where I think I could incorporate it. So I think just to kind of flesh out my main character even more, I need to include some of those things, because they're in here, like they're in my head, but I don't think all of the ideas that I had made it to the text. So I'm kind of going through it, trying to figure out what did make it, and what I need to add, what I should develop a little bit further, and how to do that exactly. Because when it comes to character development in that way, when it's not something that's ultimately directly relevant to what your plot is and what's going on in your story, you have to kind of decide how much you want to go into it and how much you want to say. And does this actually need a flashback scene, or does this just need a brief mention, or is it something that your character should have an entire conversation about? Like, how much weight should it hold in your story, and how much weight should it hold in your narrative as a whole? How much should the reader really remember it, or should it be just something that passes through their brain so they know it about the character? It's actually quite complicated, and it's even more complicated to try to actually apply. So that's what I'm kind of working with right now. It's not a struggle, but it definitely is a big challenge that I'm enjoying, actually, which is good. That's what revisions are supposed to be all about. They're supposed to be a fun challenge and a way of making something that you like and that you think will be good even better. So far so good. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the session now, because don't let that beautiful natural light fool you that is sort of shining on my face and reflecting off of my glasses, but it actually is a little bit late. It's after 6 p.m. right now. So that's not late, but I do wanna have time to do a nice long session and still actually have time to like do the laundry and whatever else I need to do tonight. So wish me luck. If you're wondering, yes, I did re-dye my hair, so it's nice and red. So, confession, I have not written today, but yesterday I actually hit a milestone with my revisions. I finished part 1. So just to give you a little context in case you don't know, because that's not necessarily that exciting if you don't know, but my book is basically divided in 3 parts. So they're not exactly even thirds, but it's approximately a third of my book for part 1. And yesterday I worked really hard all afternoon. I actually did like 7,500, I think, words of revisions, and a lot of that was stuff that I did edit. It wasn't just reading through, because there were some issues with a couple of things, little minor issues, thankfully not big issues, but I did so much. I spent like 3 and a half or something hours. My whole afternoon was basically writing. I just buckled down and focused and just thought, I'm gonna get through part 1 today, and it happened. So today I decided that I was gonna film a little bit for YouTube, but I am not gonna do any writing. I'm gonna take the day off. This week I'm traveling a bit for work, so I've just decided I'm gonna take a week off, and next weekend I'll get back into part 2 of my book. But I think after all the stuff that I've done, all the hard work I've put into part 1, I think I deserve a week off. Not only that, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be working like non-stop for my job, so I think I would have had to take off this week anyway, take off. Yeah, so I'm really happy that I managed to finish part 1 before this week, and I'm just really happy with how revisions are going so far. There are a couple things, I talked about it before, but there are a couple things that I've had to write down, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna have to come back and revise them later. And like I've said multiple times, I'm probably gonna have to do more than one revision. I'm not saying that this is the only time I'm gonna ever edit anything in part 1, but I'm really happy with the progress I'm making because I feel like part 1 is really a solid draft right now. A solid part 1, really, not even draft. I think the only things that I'm gonna have to fix is if I encounter any bigger things that I want to fix in the story overall. But in terms of the actual writing, in terms of how these scenes are working out, it's going so well. I've only revised one book before this one, and the revisions are when I realized what my book was lacking. So revisions weren't such a great experience for me, because when I realized that that project was a little bit either dead in the water or would just need so much work that it was kind of disappointing. But these revisions are going really well, so not only is it a good sign for my project, but it's a really good sign for me, and it's just a big weight off of my chest. I'm really happy. So I think I'm gonna end the vlog here. This is a nice high note to end it on. But I would love to know in the comments about your projects and what you're working on, if you're in the first draft, the planning stages, the revisions, and just let me know how it's going. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you soon in another video.